Philadelphia news, team of my heart. Kelly Oubre Jr. was a game-changer for the Sixers last season, and now you're wondering, can he keep that same energy with a deeper roster in 2024-25? In this video, you'll get all the Sixers news on Oubre's role, his aggressive drives, defensive versatility, and how he'll continue making an impact. If you care about the Sixers' success, you need to know how Oubre fits into Nick Nurse's plans. Don't miss any updates, subscribe and hit the bell for more Sixers news. Kelly Oubre Jr. has already shown you that he belongs in Philadelphia. Last season, he was on a mission, and you could feel it. When you're playing on a minimum contract, there's pressure to prove you're worth more, and Oubre did that every time he stepped on the floor. He was a vital part of the Sixers' success, and his performance wasn't just a spark, it was a statement. He gave you 15.4 points per game, 5 rebounds, solid defense, and an energy that electrified the team and the city. The Sixers got the most out of him at a bargain price, but now the stakes are higher. With the 2024-25 season ahead, Oubre isn't just here to repeat what he did last year. He's here to build on it, to bring that same fire but with an even sharper focus. Last year, you watched him grow. Early on, he took some wild shots, but as the season progressed, he started attacking the rim with more purpose. His ability to finish close to the basket, where he shot over 69%, showed you that he's evolving, that he's not just a perimeter player, but a dangerous slasher who can punish defenses in multiple ways. And defensively? Oubre is that guy who can guard multiple positions, something the Sixers desperately needed. You saw him step up, covering not just wings, but also smaller, quicker guards. Remember his performance against Jalen Brunson in the playoffs? Those are the moments when you know Oubre can take on the tough assignments, no matter who's in front of him. But now you're thinking, can Oubre keep this going with all the changes to the roster? The answer is, absolutely. With the arrival of players like Paul George and Caleb Martin, Oubre doesn't have to carry the same load, and that's a good thing. It allows him to focus on what he does best, being aggressive, driving to the rim, locking down defensively, and running in transition. He'll still get his moments to shine, but now he has the freedom to pick his spots more carefully. That's how he'll keep thriving. You might worry about his shooting, and sure, Oubre isn't the most consistent from deep. But here's the thing, he's shown you he's capable of adapting. Last season, when his jumper wasn't falling, he started attacking the paint more. And that's where Oubre becomes a problem for the opposition. When he drives hard, draws fouls, or kicks out to open shooters, you know that the Sixers' offense flows better. He's smart enough to know when to take over and when to play off his teammates. And let's talk about what he brings in terms of attitude. Oubre isn't afraid to get in the mix. He plays with a chip on his shoulder, and that's something the Sixers needed last year and will continue to need moving forward. His aggressiveness, his willingness to dunk on someone's head, those are the kinds of plays that energize the team and get you up out of your seat. Even when the shots aren't falling, you know Oubre is going to impact the game in other ways. With Nick Nurse now leading the way, the Sixers are going to look a little different. You're going to see more wing-heavy lineups, more switching on defense, and that's where Oubre fits in perfectly. His versatility allows him to cover multiple spots, and with George and Martin now in the fold, Oubre won't have to be stretched too thin defensively. You'll see him in those lineups where the Sixers can switch everything, and that's going to create problems for opposing offenses. He's not just a one-dimensional player, and Nurse knows how to maximize guys like that. So what's next for Oubre? It's not about becoming a superstar. You don't need that from him. What you need is for him to keep being the spark, the guy who steps in and makes the plays when it matters. He can still give you 15 points a night when needed, but more importantly, he'll be a reliable defender and an offensive weapon in transition. You know how important Oubre's role is going to be, but the real question is, can he maintain that energy, that aggressiveness, with more talent surrounding him this season? You've seen it before, when teams add more scoring options, it's easy for players to fade into the background. But Oubre doesn't strike you as that type of player, does he? He's not someone who disappears. He's always looking for a way to impact the game, even when he's not the primary option on offense. That's what makes him special. With the arrival of more talent, especially on the wings, Oubre can actually benefit. You don't need him to put up 20 points a night. He'll have more space to operate, more opportunities to attack without forcing things, and most importantly, fewer defensive assignments to carry on his own. Imagine Oubre with fresher legs in the fourth quarter, ready to lock down on defense or push the ball in transition when the team needs a spark. It's not just about whether he can maintain last season's production, it's about whether he can elevate his impact in a more balanced role. Do you think he's up for that? You saw what he did when the pressure was on last year. He stepped up when the Sixers needed him. But now, with fewer responsibilities, you could see a version of Oubre that's more focused, more efficient. The shooting might not always be there, but that's not where his true value lies. Oubre thrives when he's cutting to the basket, crashing the boards, and getting out in transition. When he's aggressive and attacking, he forces defenses to make decisions, and that opens up opportunities for everyone else on the floor. And speaking of defense, think about how he held his ground against some of the league's toughest assignments. You've watched him guard multiple positions, from wings to smaller guards, without skipping a beat. That versatility is going to be even more critical this season. With George and Martin in the mix, Oubre won't have to guard the best player every night, but when he does, you can trust that he's going to give you everything he's got. Do you remember that series against the Knicks? Oubre was all over Jalen Brunson. Those are the kinds of moments that show you his defensive intensity is real. But here's the thing, can Oubre find a way to be even more efficient this season? That's the next step. You don't need him to take as many shots, but you do need him to make the most of the opportunities he gets. If he can keep attacking the rim like he did last season, making 69.3% of his shots within 3 feet, then he's going to continue being a huge asset. The Sixers don't need him jacking up threes all game, they need him slashing, cutting, and creating chaos in the paint. That's when he's at his best, and you know that's where he's going to thrive this season. And what about those lineups where Nick Nurse is going to go small or lean heavily on wings? Oubre fits right into that plan. You've seen how his athleticism lets him switch on defense, cover more ground, and disrupt passing lanes. With the Sixers' newfound depth, you can expect Nurse to experiment with those lineups, and Oubre is going to be a key part of making that strategy work. He has the tools to thrive in that system: speed, length, and an aggressive mindset. Can you picture him running alongside guys like Maxey in transition, creating mismatches on the break? You're probably wondering if Oubre can keep this level of performance up with fewer touches and a more defined role. But remember, this is a player who adapted last season, who found ways to contribute even when his shot wasn't falling. That's the mark of a reliable player, someone who doesn't let a bad shooting night affect the rest of their game. And that's why you can trust that Oubre will still be a difference maker for the Sixers, no matter how many shots he's taking. Oubre's toughness is something you can't measure on the stat sheet. He brings a grit that you can see on the court and feel through the TV screen. That's what sets him apart. He doesn't back down, and he doesn't play scared. Whether it's going up against elite scorers or fighting for rebounds in the paint, Oubre's presence is undeniable. Do you see him shying away from the challenge with all this new talent around him? You know Oubre's ability to step up when the team needs him most. But have you thought about how much more effective he can be with less pressure on him? The Sixers are deeper now, which means Oubre doesn't have to shoulder the same burden every night. He can focus on what he does best: crashing the boards, making smart cuts, and being a nightmare in transition. But does that mean he'll take a step back, or does it mean he's primed to be even more impactful? That's the real question. What excites you most about this season with Oubre? Is it the fact that he can thrive in a more complementary role, or is it the thought of him still being that aggressive player who throws down dunks and ignites the crowd? He's shown you he can be versatile, that he's not just a one-dimensional scorer or defender. When Oubre is locked in, you know the Sixers are a more dangerous team. And don't forget about his ability to rise in big moments. You saw it last season, when the game gets tight, Oubre finds a way to make those hustle plays. Whether it's a steal, a defensive stop, or a tough bucket at the rim, he's the kind of player who thrives under pressure. Do you think he'll keep that edge with a roster full of talent, or do you see him blending into the background? You can't deny that he brings an energy the team feeds off of. When Oubre is on, the Sixers have a different kind of swagger. You know what you're going to get from him defensively, but the question is whether he can maintain his offensive aggressiveness with fewer touches. You've seen him attack the paint with confidence, getting to the free throw line and finishing strong at the rim. But will he continue to do that when he's not the main scoring option? That's where the difference comes in. Oubre's value isn't just in scoring, it's in the pressure he puts on defenses when he attacks. If he can keep that same mindset, even in a reduced role, then he's going to be a game changer for the Sixers all season long. What do you think? Will Oubre embrace the new system and continue growing as a key player, or do you think the new talent could take away from what made him so effective last year? There's no denying that the team is better with him on the court, but now it's about seeing how he fits into a more stacked roster. Can he adjust and thrive, or will the change in roles hold him back? With Nick Nurse at the helm, you're going to see some new wrinkles in the offense. Oubre will get opportunities in transition, in those fast-paced moments where he shines. And defensively, he'll be a crucial part of the team's switching schemes. The more you think about it, the more you realize Oubre's adaptability is one of his biggest strengths. He's not just a scorer, he's a disruptor, someone who can shift the momentum of a game with a single play. That's why his role is so important, no matter how many stars are on the team. So what are you most looking forward to with Oubre this season? Is it his slashing to the basket, his defensive intensity, or his ability to come through in the clutch? You know he's going to bring it every night, and you know he's going to play a vital role in whatever success the Sixers have this season. And if you believe Oubre is set for another standout year, there's only one way to make sure you don't miss a second of it: hit that subscribe button and click the bell. Stay locked in for all the latest Sixers news, updates, and game breakdowns. This season is going to be special, and you'll want to be part of it every step of the way. Can Oubre take his game to the next level? You'll have to follow along to find out.